This is Audible.
Drowning in Paper Flowers by E. L. Westbury. Read by Jessica Teige. Legend has it that the sunflower is cursed. Centuries ago, the coarse flowers were not only believed to be bad luck, but were often linked to tragedy when it came to matters of the heart. To this day, certain cultures still consider the sunflower to be taboo. Prologue. Ruby, the nightmare. I always hear the screaming of the cicadas first. Only then does it appear through a static-filled haze. The slender, run-down trailer guarded behind an army of weeping willows. An ensemble of low-hanging branches whispering their warnings. Like a casket someone failed to bury, she's propped on uneven cinder blocks. Years of neglect saddling her warped aluminum siding in a grayish-brown rot. Decaying plywood steps, no longer aligning with her battered front door, lean to one side as if they could collapse at any moment. But it's the lonely window, masked in a thick, milky residue, attempting to conceal what's lurking inside, that sends a chill up my spine. All signs suggest she's been abandoned. All but one. The pinwheels. Hundreds of them carpeting the patchy dew-covered ground like a counterfeit garden, offering a burst of color in an otherwise muted landscape, each spinning in slow motion. A blanket of yellow and black. Sunflowers. In the blink of an eye, I'm transported inside the trailer to a compact room. Although it's dark, deepest part of the ocean dark, the lack of oxygen tells me the space is tight. The smell of decomposition and feces singes my airway. But it's the atmosphere. Thick and hot, like the inside of a dishwasher during the steam cycle, that's making it nearly impossible to breathe. "Hello?" I call out. No answer. Beads of sweat soak my hairline as I blindly feel around, quickly locating a wall just behind me. Edging backward, I anchor my spine against the slick vinyl surface and slither to the floor. My heart hammers against my ribcage like a haunting drum solo as I try not to think about what or who could be lurking alongside me. I draw my knees to my chest, wrapping my legs in a tight embrace, and narrow my eyes, focusing on a single spot until the haze lifts. And that's when I see her. Through a murky lens, a gaunt little girl lay flat on her back in the center of the room. A tattered wool blanket, the only thing separating her body from the hard linoleum floor. A concave pillow, no thicker than a piece of wet cardboard, perched beneath her tiny head. She's young, maybe 2 years old, wearing nothing but a heavily soiled diaper. Her beaded pale skin sucking to her insides like a wetsuit, outlining the sharp edges of her skeleton. All but her stomach, which looks as if a whole cantaloupe resides beneath her belly button. Her eyes are sealed shut, and for a split second, my lungs cripple with fear that I'm too late. Desperate for a closer look, I inhale an uneven breath and jut my chin forward, liberating the pockets of sweat in the folds of my neck. It's not until I see the faintest rise and fall of the girl's protruding belly that I'm able to release the breath I've been holding hostage. With shaky limbs, I get to my knees and inch toward her. My heart rate soaring as the gap between us shrivels. Time stops when I realize the little girl is me. There's no mistaking it, evident by her rose gold hair and the fingernail-sized birthmark just inside her left thigh. Cinnamon